In the silent spaces between our thoughts, there is a whisper, a voice not our own, but one that has always been there. It does not shout. It does not command. It suggests. It reminds. It stirs something ancient within us. Some call it intuition. Others say it's conscience. But the wise have always known. It is the quiet voice of God speaking through the corridors of the human mind. And your ears shall hear a word behind you, saying, "This is the way, walk in it," when you turn to the right or when you turn to the left. Isaiah 30:21. This isn't about religion. It is about connection, about tuning into a frequency that transcends logic and touches something deeper. The mind, with all its noise and chatter, also holds a chamber of stillness. And in that stillness, God waits, not to control, but to guide, not to accuse, but to awaken. We have been told that God parts seas, sends fire from heaven, and speaks from mountaintops. But those are the moments recorded in Scripture. What if the more constant miracle is quieter, the gentle whisper that says, "Forgive him, try again, let it go," or "You were made for more"? When we face choices, emotions, and turmoil, the mind becomes a battlefield. The thoughts that flood our brains are not just biological firings, they are crossroads. And in those crossroads, there are divine fingerprints. Consider this. Every time you are tempted to lash out, to give in or to give up, there is a pause, a moment, a flicker of clarity. That flicker, that's where God lives. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Romans 12:2. We live in an age that worships feeling and impulse. Follow your heart, they say. But the heart is fickle. It is the mind, grounded and aligned with truth, that can filter emotions through the wisdom of eternity. The mind, when anchored in what is right, becomes the vessel through which divine wisdom flows. We do not deny our emotions. We listen to them, but we do not obey them blindly. God speaks not in the fever pitch of anger, but in the calm after the storm. Not in the thrill of lust, but in the clarity of commitment. Not in the impulse to escape, but in the strength to endure. Let us reflect on Jesus, who, in the wilderness, was tempted in his mind, not by physical chains, but by thoughts, doubts, lies, promises of power. Yet he responded with truth. He answered not with feeling, but with Scripture. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. Matthew 4:4. There is power in this. There is a revolution waiting to be awakened inside you. Not a revolution of external force, but of inner mastery. The greatest war is not fought on the battlefield, but in the mind. And those who learn to hear the voice of God in that space will walk in a strength that cannot be shaken. This is not about perfection. It is about awareness. About realizing that we are not just flesh and blood. We are spirit and mind, intertwined. And God speaks to both. The question is not, is God speaking? The question is, are we listening? To listen, we must learn silence. We must learn stillness. We must unplug from the noise that drowns out the whisper. We must meditate not on emptiness, but on truth. We must fill our minds with what is noble, pure, and life-giving. Whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, think about these things. Philippians 4:8. This is how God speaks, not just in moments of crisis, but in the mundane, in traffic, in waiting rooms, in arguments, in disappointments, in hope. He speaks when you consider quitting and something says, just one more step. He speaks when you feel unworthy and a thought rises, you are more than your past. He speaks when all seems lost and a still, small voice whispers, "I am not done with you." Let us not ignore these moments. They are sacred. They are not coincidences. They are invitations. We must become students of our own thoughts, not slaves to them, but watchers, listeners, sifters of truth from lie. Because somewhere in that mix, between doubt and hope, fear and courage, ego and humility, God is speaking. And what He says changes everything. So if you've ever wondered if you've heard from God, consider this. The thought that told you to forgive, that wasn't just you. The urge to reach out and encourage someone, that wasn't just a nice idea. The reminder to keep going, even when no one sees, that wasn't your ego. It was your Maker. This is the shocking truth. God doesn't always come in thunder. Sometimes He comes as a question in your mind. What if there's more? The truth is, we were made for more. We were made for courage, for clarity, for conviction. But we cannot walk in these unless we learn to listen, not just to the world, but to that inner prompting that defies logic and transcends fear. So the next time your mind is racing and your heart is heavy, stop, breathe, listen, because maybe, just maybe, God is speaking, and what He's saying could be the beginning of everything new.